Bitcoin has had a nice run to the upside over the last couple of days, and it is currently finding support on the 50 EMA, 50 SMA on the smaller timeframes. In today's video, we're going to be addressing the technical analysis on BTC, sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think Bitcoin is heading next. As I get into today's video, smash that like button if you're new, subscribe, and let's take a look at what's going on here with BTC. So this is Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We're on the 1 hour Binance chart here. And as you can kind of see, we've had a little bit of volatility, right? We can see a nice three-wave correction coming down on Wednesday, a nice run up yesterday. This basically is a 5.48% move. Okay, we can see a lot of volatility in here as well. And what we mean by that is we can see some larger wicks. We can see some larger candles. These are commonly known as institutional candles, if you've heard of smart money concepts. And you can see that the market has basically just been kind of grabbing liquidity out of the market on the smaller timeframes as well as the larger timeframes, which we'll get into in a moment. But here you can see the good news is that we are finding support on the 50 EMA, 50 SMA. Okay, and momentum is correcting quite nicely. This is an indication that we probably have a little bit more room to the upside to go before we can start thinking about those bigger corrections. Now, obviously, we've been talking a lot over the last 18 or so months about Federal Reserve pivot and what that typically means. That's happening next week. At least the expectation is that they're going to cut interest rates, and specifically with all the good news around CPI data earlier in the week as well. The expectation is that we do see an interest rate cut, and typically that means the market is going to drop down. Okay, and I think the market's been trying to price it in. What we've seen so far is a bit of a relief rally, and it's been a good relief rally so far since we hit the low target range on the smaller timeframes here. So far, we have rallied up quite nicely, if I grab the correct wick low there, by 11.49%. Okay, so it's good little relief rally, but that's all it is, in my opinion, a relief rally. It's not a reversal in trend. We'll talk about what targets we have to hit if we want to see those kind of numbers. But for now, we see that we are still expecting a bit more of a push to the upside for the rest of the weekend, going into next week. But next week, I think that rug is going to be pulled and we're going to see a bigger correction in the market. I'd love to be wrong on that, of course, because I don't want to see any cryptocurrency assets completely drop off the face of the world during the Federal Reserve interest rate cut, but it's typically what we see. So as much as I'd love to be wrong in that, we can see that it's a high probability of it. But we'll talk about that on the macro in a moment. On the smaller time frame here, we can see a falling wedge. This is a bullish sign, so there's a lower highs coming in here, and we do see this kind of consolidation range coming in as well. I'm going to go ahead and draw a little line in here as well. This kind of falling wedge that we see here, and it's possible that we do come down just to test that 50 EMA, 50 SMA out, is a bullish pattern. Okay, so we are going to be looking for a break out of here to the upside. Okay, so that's going to be the small movements that we're going to be expecting today, and my trade kind of approach to this is going to be a long position, looking for support around the 50 EMA, 50 SMA. I'm going to put the stop loss on this one lower than the previous swing low, which would be over here, and we target out 1.5 on the risk reward ratio. And of course, we could put a trailing stop in, etc. But you know, guys, I like a 1.5 risk reward ratio simply to get in the profit. Now, in the case of that 1.5 risk reward ratio, it's going to fall right inside this pocket of resistance that we found on BTC's price action. That is between 58,388 and 58,588, and you can see here that trade is going to be right inside that line, right? So the assumption here is that we can get into a long position around 57,766 with a stop loss at 57,302 and take profit at 58,463. That's the kind of idea here. So that's the long position that I would be doing, and if I am to be trading on a long position like this using leverage, I'm going to be trading on BitGet or Blowfin. Blowfin actually have some fantastic offers now for new users as well, with some fantastic bonuses. So let's talk about that. Blowfin has an exclusive deal for the cheeky crypto community, where new members can claim up to $10,000 in future bonuses. And to claim, all you need to do is deposit and actively trade on the Blowfin exchange. Now, here's a few details that you need to know. For example, you can kind of see on the infographic here, depending on how much you deposit and trade, you'll have different levels of bonuses, starting at a $30 bonus for depositing $100 and trading $50,000 in volume, all the way through to $20,000 deposited and $35 million in volume, which is a $10,000 bonus. And obviously you can see all the various different levels in between. More details, of course, can be found using the link in the description down below, so go ahead and check that out. Trading volume is calculated based on taker volume only. Deposits are calculated by the amount transferred into the futures account, and minus, of course, any transfers out of the futures account. Users must meet both the deposit and the trading volume requirements to receive the corresponding rewards and bonuses. But yeah, guys, check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's a huge potential bonus to your trading. So if you are trading, why not check out Bluefin? Links in the description down below. I don't think you'll regret it. Okay, so with the approach here of a long position and thinking about 5 to 10x leverage, something to that effect, we can take some pretty decent profit out of the market. The expectation is, of course, to break through that resistance, but we might find that actually we find resistance there initially, and then when we get a confirmed breakout, we could also go long there as well. The expectation is probably going to be to come up a little bit higher on Bitcoin. We'll probably be looking at the area of resistance a little bit higher, somewhere up in this range, right inside here. That would be more towards 59,350 to 59,800. So again, we'll look at that initial resistance, whether we get a breakout, and we potentially could just put a trailing stop, just move our stop loss into profit as we kind of see that long position potentially playing out. So on the smaller time frames, Bitcoin is kind of playing along quite nicely. It's kind of doing what we're kind of expecting it to do. And yeah, for the most part, it's kind of just kind of taking the liquidity out of the market. A lot of people were shorting the market after losing the 200-day EMA, for example. And yeah, we are in a pretty good spot, I think, for the smaller time frames. Over the next few days, the expectation is that Bitcoin continues this upward move that we've seen. Now, if we go ahead and bring on the smart money concepts here, you can also see that we do have a change of character on the smaller time frame, indicating that we are in a bullish structure. We have the weak high, indicating that that's not likely to hold. And although that there is this pocket of red and this pocket of selling pressure here that we've identified, it isn't going to be a huge barrier. There are, of course, some interesting areas of buying down here as well, all around the 50 EMA, 50 SMA. And we can also note some fair value gaps in here as well, which I do think we'll grab at a later stage in the market, specifically next week. So for now, it does look like we still have upward momentum available to us. That's also indicated here on the stochastic RSI. And if we turn that off and bring on the divergence indicator, here you can see that there was bearish divergence that was coming in as we hit this upper area of resistance. We're currently coming in right here on the 50 line on this relative strength index. So that's indicating that we are finding support in and around this range as we had done previously. And there was some hidden bullish divergence at this stage as well, which is quite interesting. But for the most part, kind of behaving nicely on the 1 hour time frame. So let's go ahead and crank this up into our daily. This is where things are not as bullish, right? So obviously we had that low range expectation that we tapped into already. We're seeing the relief rally, and we are heading up to the resistance of the 200-day EMA. The 200 EMA at the moment is coming in at 59,264, and we are expecting interest rate cuts in well, next week. I think it's the 18th. So we are going to be seeing this be tested, in my opinion. We're likely to see some interesting consolidation all around the 50 EMA, the 50 SMA, and the 200 EMA. I do not expect to close positions above these. And of course, the other thing that we have to be very mindful of is there is a death cross looming here on the 1 day time frame, right? So Bitcoin's not in the best position on the daily time frame. So we know this, we can see that here. We've had a great push to the downside in line with our expectations. We haven't yet lost the $49,000, but that is the expectation. Okay, so if I'm right about everything that I'm going to be kind of predicting or have been predicting out, with upper resistance being found here around that kind of $60,000 level, then we are going to be looking for $46,000 to $48,000 on a kind of 1 to 1.236. If we can't get past the 200 EMA, that's going to lower those expectations again more towards $45,500. So we want to be very mindful here that there's still a long way to go. Our actual target range is sat down at 40,295 to 43,788. That hasn't changed. So we are still incredibly bearish here for BTC on the daily daily time frame. But the good news is on a bigger macro, it's not that bad. And the reason is we have obviously overlapping price nature here, or price action here, and the nature of this is not a trend, right? So this is just a corrective pattern where we see time and time again the liquidity being extracted from the market. We have the shorts getting liquidated, longs getting liquidated, shorts liquidated, longs, shorts, longs, shorts, longs, shorts, longs, and we're now liquidating shorts again, right? And the expectation is we will liquidate all the longs when we get down here as well. So I expect a lot of fake outs to happen. I don't expect instant reactions in the market either, although I could be wrong about that. We usually can see a lot of volatility around interest rate decisions, and normally we see pushes up and pulls to the downside, and sometimes we even see pushes down before we get into those runs to the upside, right? It kind of, the market just tries to decide. Some of these moves are very quick, some of them are very drawn out, and they take some time, but for the most part the expectation is to tap into that lower range at $40,000. 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 continues to be the self-fulfilling prophecy here. And although we've seen a little bit of green in the market, it is a relief rally before we start moving down. My minimum expectations is double bottom at 49,000, although we do have that target range down here at $40,000 to $44,000. The minimum expectation is 49,000 at a double bottom. If we come down just a little bit lower than that, again, we kind of meet the requirements of our next kind of move to the upside. So this seems to be where we want to kind of be layering into long positions on a multi-month period, or going into spot buys and looking to kind of trade for a long period of time. It's going to be anything lower than $49,000. So for the most part, Bitcoin's kind of doing what we've kind of thought it was going to do. Now, if we take a look at smart money concepts, you can see here as well, the 50 EMA, 50 SMA is also equilibrium. So again, this is another bearish place to be for Bitcoin. We are in a bearish structure on the daily time frame according to smart money concepts. You can see it right here, the change of character into a bearish state of play. We haven't broken that, although there are some smaller players going on the smaller time frames. Ultimately, we are still bearish here on BTC. You can even see some of the smaller time frames like the 20-hour, 12-hour, and so forth are also in bearish structures, indicated with that dashed line that you see there. So basically what I'm saying is we have a lot of resistance around the 200-day EMA, the 50-day EMA, and the 50-day simple moving average, the SMA. That also comes right in line with equilibrium. Equilibrium is the 50% area between the wick low and the wick high. Okay, so know that that's not necessarily going to be an easy place to kind of get through. It's a 50% fib level. And we also know that we have a weak low and a strong high, indicating that we're not likely to break up above 73,777, but we are likely to break down lower than $49,000. So from a technical indicator point of view, it's not looking great. From an Elliott wave theory point of view, it's not looking the best. And yeah, basically we can see that things are about to kind of get a bit nasty in the market. Our stochastic RSI is overbought on the daily and 8-hour time frames, so we are looking for a big shift in the market to the downside. You can see that we're about to have a negative cross here as well, and every time we have these negative crosses, we do see big pulls in the market. Okay, so just bear in mind that momentum is likely to shift on us. It's not an indication of the depth of a price move, by the way. It's just an indication that something is about to happen, and we want to be very aware of that. Now, if we take that off and bring on the divergence indicator, you can see here that we're coming up against the resistance of the 50 level. When you're lower than the 50 level on the RSI, you are bearish, and when you're above it, you're bullish. And ultimately, be seen here is a downturn in the indicator that is the relative strength index. Okay, so we are trending down on the RSI. So also on the daily time frame, just not looking great for Bitcoin into the next kind of month or so. But overall, I'm still bullish on the long term and the macro picture. For Bitcoin, none of that has changed. It's just a case of we're going to have to ride through what is coming, and I do believe it's going to be a pretty nasty storm for Bitcoin and for cryptocurrency assets. But you guys can let me know what your thoughts are on all of this in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where do you sit? Let me know in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server linked in the description. If you haven't done so already, guys, check this video out right here. It's not one you're going to want to miss.